Wake up, Dylan. Wake up. You're better than this. Dylan is a 16-year-old student in Year 11 at his high school. He is well off socioeconomically wise. The key issue here is that his parents are never home as they are divorced and very busy with their working lives. Disliked by many of his peers, he is affecting other students' learning. He is routinely sent to the deputy's office due to his attitude towards the teachers and himself. To understand this, we're going to have to go through some scenarios and how he interacts with other students.
Alright, how are we going, boys? Good work, Dylan.
You know, we're 25th to 23, sir.
Yeah.
We're doing really well, but I do not understand how the features that distinguish fusion welding from solid-state welding is that the melting of the frame and surfaces occur during fusion welding but not in the solid state is a valid question in Year 11 biology, sir.
I think it is. I don't think you get to dictate the curriculum in that way.
I
think
don't
maybe you should
care
just
for this subject.
Dylan, I appreciate that you're frustrated, but please, can you do some work?
But sir, you're not even getting David involved.
Look,
he hasn't done anything
David's
today.
actually been sitting here helping you this whole time.
He has answered
You
no
have relied on
questions.
him.
This is boring, sir.
Okay, fair enough. It might be boring, but it's still content you need to do. And it's
Biology
you need
content
to
is
pass.
biology is dumb.
It's not dumb.
We don't ever need
It's
biology now.
essential.
Our
It's
human
biology
life
to all of us.
has never benefited from the understanding of biology.
Yes, it has. Then what about, doctors or health professions? They've got to understand the basic human biology to help us.
You know what, David? Let's leave. Should we leave, David?
No. Alright, well, that's the second time this week. You're definitely going to the principal's office. I will see you there. And please do not turn off the light, Dylan. Thank you.
School failure is a complex social phenomenon. Academic performance has implications that play out across life stages and on multiple levels. Poor performance at school can have detrimental effects on an individual that can influence their whole life. There are numerous family, peer, health, and socioeconomic factors that contribute to academic failure. All of these factors feed into and from each other. Poor academic performance can likewise strain familial relationships. It can also lead to students dropping out of school, which can perpetuate the low socioeconomic status cycle. Even in the adult world, physical and mental health factors can contribute to poor work performance and strained relationships. It is important that we look at why Dylan thinks he is failing at school. Failing students usually attribute their lack of success to the subject matter being too hard and to their own lack of effort. Surprisingly, they tend to blame their own deficiencies rather than problems with their teacher.
Monitoring Dylan's actions, we find that Dylan is loud, obnoxious, and disrespectful to authorities. Peers do not wish to be associated with him due to his aggressive personality, and it is here we need to understand antecedents to these actions, both from the environment and the individuals.
Oi! Separate! Something about Dylan! Desist!
No, Miss. Arnott 2014 relays that controversial adolescents can be aggressive but also highly social students. We can understand that misbehaviour may not be as reliant on internal factors as previous thought and therefore can be inhibited by external factors too.
Dylan?
My class of biology has been really disruptive. He's been extremely disrespectful and he's just been really problematic all term. I just don't know what to do to get him to do his work.
Okay. Have you asked him the right questions to get him to stop? Like, what sort of things are you talking to him about? What are you saying?
We find that through his significant social disadvantage, we find that he lacks a stable home life, lacking discipline, he lacks parental engagement, and he has negative emotions. Due to his home life nature, Dylan has faced a lack of authority figures and a lack of discipline in his home life. This lack of discipline has now manifested into the schoolyard, and henceforth he shows little regard for consequence. Upon findings by Johnson 2018, we encourage instructors to engage in critical reflection of their own pedagogical choices. Data suggests that instructional factors contribute to student misbehaviour. Relating back to choice theory and collaborative problem solving, we find that working together with the student, we can find the antecedents and why students misbehave. Such practices by instructors may help to improve the instructional environment for students and instructors alike. He lacks a discipline, which affects his learning. It affects his peers' learning. It has created an unlikable personality. He is loud and obnoxious, and it's reduced his learning ability and creates both psychological and academic lagging skills. This is due to the effects of his parents both not being physical engagements to him during the course of his home life. Without this discipline and without this responsibility to his parents, he has devolved into a challenging behavoured student. Impacts on teachers. Dylan spends most of class time disciplining. He's unable to assist the rest of the class. He doesn't get through content, and teachers' stress levels increase. Through an impact on school, he does not take responsibility for damages and will not fix his ways to what he has done. He has removed a sense of restorative justice due to this nature, and inaction follows.
Alright, everyone working? Dylan, here we go. I need you to read through this and take notes for me, thanks. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Take off your hat.
Yes.
Alright. Dylan, I'd rather you not graffiti in your book and actually do some work with it. All I'm asking you is to do a bit of work. Are you reading it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Dylan, can you please get your feet off the table? Dylan, please. Get your feet off the table. Put your hat on the desk. Take off your hat, please.
Hat's staying on, sir.
No, take your hat off in class.
Have you seen my haircut? It looks just like yours.
I don't care. Please take your hat off. That is a direct request.
We'll both
Please.
be embarrassed.
Thank you, Dylan. Now, all I've asked you to do is just do your work, okay? You just need to take notes. How about... Dylan, excuse me! It is evident that Dylan is suffering from emotional regulation issues. Termed emotional dysregulation, it is multidimensional, involving maladaptive ways of responding to emotions such as a lack of awareness to understanding and accepting emotions, the inability to control behaviors when experiencing emotional distress, a lack of situational appropriate responses, and an unwillingness to experience emotional distress as a part of pursuing meaningful goals. Deficits in emotional regulation impacts the ability to cope with negative life experiences and can give rise to long-term mental health conditions such as depression and risk-taking behaviors such as self-harm, substance abuse, and aggression. It is evident that Dylan is withdrawing and, as a coping strategy, acting out. This is a key indicator that he is at risk of a depressive onset or episode. Therefore, Dylan will need appropriate strategies to help him regulate his emotions, known as effortful control, the capacity to substitute reactive responses in service of long-term goals. Go ahead, Deb.
It has come to our attention that Dylan is withdrawing himself from class. Well, after speaking with Dylan's teachers, they have come up with 3 main issues that they found to be having an effect on Dylan. The first one is social disadvantage. The second issue is emotional regulation. And the third one is that he is not performing well in his classes, so underperformance. It is our responsibility as a teacher to choose important strategies that can help Dylan
It can be
for each of
frustrating and
these
stressful
points.
to see his display of emotion in this way, reflecting avoidant behaviours of him not doing work and also being very disruptive. This can be frustrating, however, it is important to remember, due to dysregulation issues, Dylan may be suffering from negative emotionality and low levels of positive emotionality, which correlates to very strong depressive symptoms. In order to stop this reactive temperament, teachers can implement a variety of strategies, such as modelling positive behaviour, such as reappraising a situation, problem solving, and also acceptance. Emotional regulation programs that have been successful include the Talk Sense to Yourself program, which is a cognitive behaviour program that involves one-on-one, small group, class, or whole group supervision that involves cognitive behavioural strategies to change students' unhelpful thinking. There's also expressive writing, which helps students like Dylan verbalise negative emotions.
Alternative to a collaborative approach, we can utilize Glass's understanding of choice theory. Glasser champions how we are able to learn and choose alternative behaviours resulting in greater personal satisfaction. Choice is derived from an individual's perspective of their needs of learning. Or the statement that the choices we make in our thinking and acting greatly affect our feeling and physiology.
Where should you find B?
If students with challenging behaviour lack crucial development skills, we can respond to their difficulties in much the same way that we respond to academic learning challenges. Collaborative problem solving, problems should be solved collaboratively, not unilaterally. This comes down to the teacher communicating to the student, inviting him or her to analyse what is wrong and what they can do together, voicing their reasons, concerns, and mediating a successful plan where lagging skills can be intervened upon.
Talk sense to yourself. Talk sense to yourself is another strategy that relies on internal direction, has clear plans and goals for the student, and allows students to self-assess and reflect. This strategy uses covert self-talk statements that operate to moderate or eliminate inappropriate and unproductive thoughts and responses. Based on a series of short lessons taught to students by trained teachers, it can be done one-to-one, small group, whole class, or whole school. The first series of lessons focuses on developing cognitive skills, the second on developing skills in behavioural rehearsal, and the third set focuses on building student skills in on-task performance. Teachers monitor and cue students along the way and modify accordingly.
Dylan is underperforming at school and failing some of his subjects. While Dylan may think that the subject is hard, it is his lack of effort that is of most concern. In order to find a solution for Dylan, we must focus on how to get him to put effort back into his schoolwork. The most effective way to do this is by having him engage with the content. So even though Dylan may not attribute his lack of success to his teachers, it is more than likely partly due to his teachers' lack of effort in their own work that has led to his disinterest in the subject. Teachers can address the needs of all students by following the universal design for learning, a concept that ensures students are taught in a variety of ways so that they can connect with learning in the way that suits them best. There should be multiple means of representation of the content and multiple methods of engaging with students. The same concept applies to assessment, in that a range of assessment tasks should be given to test students of differing abilities so that the teacher is not just assessing only the student's ability to write an essay or solve a fraction.
Positive behavioural prevention strategies is a three-level framework of support designed to support students in behavioural management. The primary level is comprised of strategies that are applied at school-wide level. These strategies focus on culture and climate of the school and sets out appropriate and inappropriate behaviours and their consequences. The secondary level addresses students who have not responded to the primary level strategies and require intervention, such as giving them a mentor, teacher to discuss the behaviour on a daily basis. Tertiary level of intervention requires a plan to be formed according to the individual student needs. Teachers should set out classroom expectations right away, so that everyone knows what is expected of them.
Through consistency, from a whole school approach, from teachers being on board, from the individual wanting to be part of this, we can find that Dylan as an individual will improve both his behaviour, his performance, and his mental and physical health coming into the future. He will return to the classroom as a more beneficial part of the peer group.